The Chicago Bears coaching staff has two areas that they're challenging Caleb Williams to improve on in the 2025 season. What are those areas? We'll talk a little bit about that today. Plus, Closton Loveland talks about Caleb Williams and his work ethic after yesterday's talks. We're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about what's one of the things that are going to make this season maybe a difficult one for Ben Johnson. We're going to get to all that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And we're going to start off. We was talking about Caleb Williams yesterday and a Brad Biggs, kind of comment in regards to questioning Caleb Williams' work ethic. And today, we're going to get into kind of more positive, I guess, right? But it seems like Ben Johnson, who has been high on Caleb Williams since day one, right? That came from Albert Breer, that they do have two areas that they want to see Caleb Williams improve on in year two, saying this. There are two areas where the coaches wanted improvement from Williams, both related to how he carried himself as a quarterback based on what the 2024 season showed. One was body language, the other one was pre-snap procedure. On the former, while coaches understood the beating he took, they showed film to emphasize how he'd been slow to pull himself up off the ground. It was a long year. People get fired in season and adverse circumstances. The staff explained having a quarterback who was rolling with the punches would go a long way. On the latter, there was a smattering of small things, like on the first play of the game, he turned his left, thinking the motion was coming when it actually was coming from the right. That needed to be cleaned up. And listen, I get it that this can seem like ticky-tack things, right? Like, we want you to get up off the ground a little bit after you get your dick put in the dirt. Again, I know we're taking that analogy a bit far, but it is what it is. I'm a habitual line stepper. But with that said, is that they want to see that body language change. And I do think there are some Bears fans that would agree that that is something that they noticed last season, right? Me, personally, I could really care less. My thought process is, I want to, like, hopefully he's not in the dirt as much, right? Hopefully he's not on the ground as much, and he doesn't have to pick himself up. And oh, by the way, where are the offensive linemen that led a lot? Well, sometimes it was him holding on to the ball too long as well, but they failed their quarterback and got him put on the dirt 68 times last season. Like, where's the help from those guys coming over to help their guy get up because they didn't do their job, right? So there's a lot that I would say go into that, but it's a challenge that the coaches are laying out here for Caleb and what they want to see Caleb Williams do in year two. And you have to have your own challenges. And a coaching staff that is going to be the right coaching staff, right, is that it's going to get the right things out of this roster, are going to find ways to challenge the players on this roster. And that's part of the job. That is part of the job, and it's part of Caleb Williams' job to respond to that and to be a better leader. And I think that's ultimately what they're saying here in this, is that we want you to be a better leader. We want you to be better in those areas, because those are small things that your team sees that can lead, and maybe it motivates them a little bit more. Maybe it affects them a little bit on the back end, whatever it is, right? But I do think that those little things do matter, and clearly they matter to this coaching staff with the fact that they decided to mention it. So Caleb is going to have his challenges, and I've been very consistent in saying that he has things that he absolutely needs to work on in year two. It wasn't just the offensive line. Now, I'm glad that they've gotten the offensive line in a better place, and we heard yesterday that they have more confidence in that left tackle position than what I think a lot of Bears fans do. We got to see how that works out, but Caleb has had his struggles, and he has his areas that he needs to improve. And that's just part of the game. That's not just exclusive to Caleb. Even if Caleb had a great rookie season last year and the Bears won a bunch of games, guess what? You still got things that you need to work on. The greats find something to perfect, refine, and define their craft every single year that goes on. And we'll see what happens with that. But one of the guys that is a fan of Caleb Williams and the way that he does his business is the rookie Closton Loveland. He says this in regards to Caleb. it's been good. He's super cool. You can tell he does everything the right way. He's always grinding in the playbook, having walkthroughs, calling us in. It's been great. I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there and to get things rolling. Well, first, Colston, we need you to get healthy so you can get out there on the football field and start building chemistry with your quarterback. That's one thing that we need you to do, right? And now that's just a petty fan thing, but it's good to hear that guys that are coming in here and seeing the way that Caleb Williams work is that they realize, like, and even hearing that Caleb Williams is calling guys in to sit down and have walkthroughs with him, that he's calling guys in to go over the playbook with them, right? Those are the things that are going to help. Like I talked about, you have to refine your craft every single year. That's one of the things that needs to happen there. So, if Caleb Williams is already calling guys in, calling guys on the phone, having those conversations like, hey, what do you think about this play? What do you think that, like, how do you think about the execution here? Like, what are you thinking about it on? Like, hopefully that continues in the season as far as on plays that break down. Hey, what happened here? What do you think happened here? This is what I think happened. What do you think happened? All right, bet. So, I could do better. You could do better. Let's go out and do it and get it done, right? Those are the type of things that are going to endear you and help build a culture. Those are the type of things that are going to help endear you to your guys, and that builds that rapport because they see you're willing to do any and all the work, right? And, as much as people try to make stuff about Caleb Williams, even with the Brad Biggs report, things that we didn't hear. We didn't hear that Caleb Williams was a prima donna last year. We didn't hear that he didn't care about winning first and foremost. We didn't hear that he didn't hold himself accountable. We didn't hear that he was coming late to practices or late to show up. Hell, what did we hear? We heard that he had to teach himself how to watch tape. I take issue with that wording, but he was watching tape by himself. He was figuring it out. He had a idiot as an offensive coordinator to start off the season, a dumbass as a head coach in Matt Eberflus. So, he had his own lumps and bumps and bruises over the course of the season. An offensive line that contributed to him getting sacked 68 times. So to hear that things are starting to trend up and that Caleb Williams is owning his development, that's one thing. If we're going to take anything as far as a positive that came out of the way that the coaching staff handled or mishandled Caleb Williams last year, it's that I think it taught him how self-motivated he's going to have to be in the NFL. Now, when you have a coaching staff that's better at supporting you, then it's going to be better. But I do think that hopefully Caleb walked away from last season and all the turmoil, the ups and downs, and realizing, all right, bet, you know what? This is on me. This is what I have to do. I want to be great. This is how I have to go about it if I want to be great. And so calling in your guys, building that rapport with your guys, getting that chemistry, getting that timing down, whatever it takes, right? That's how the offense becomes second nature. And Caleb Williams is going to need that. If he's going to be the quarterback that so many of us want him to be, right? That I think every Bears fan, regardless of if their doubt or pessimism around Caleb as a person or whatever else it is, you should hope that Caleb Williams is going to be great, because if Caleb Williams is great, it means that the Bears got it right. And then what we're building here has a better floor and a better ceiling, because Caleb Williams can actually be great. He's going to have to go out there and prove it. And there's a lot of work that goes in, year out to be great in this league. And Caleb, unfortunately, had to learn that the hard way last year through what he had to go through as a rookie. Now, things are starting to get better when it comes down to it. But yeah, we'll see what happens in that one. Let me know what you guys think. Caleb Williams, though, is going to have a little bit more motivation. And I'm somebody, you guys know, Petty Roosevelt. I am a very petty person. It is what it is. I find motivation in very petty things because I'm a petty asshole. But Pro Football Focus had their list of top players under the age of 25. And Caleb Williams was not on that list for the second time. He was not on that list, right? He was not on that list last season. He's not on that list this season, at the start of this season. And, it is what it is, man. We look at the 10 players that were outside the top 25 rankings, and this is from Pro Football Focus. They mentioned 10 players that were just outside the top 25 under 25. Guess what? Caleb Williams wasn't even on that list. So when you look at, they basically gave you over 35 players that are under the age of 25 that are great, and Caleb Williams was not on either of those lists. He wasn't on the top 25 list. He wasn't on the 10 players who were just outside the top 25 list. Now, do I understand some of the reasons that are there? Yeah. As I've talked about many times before, this is not a channel that's going to act like Caleb Williams does not have things that he absolutely needs to improve on in year 2. Timing, accuracy, holding on to the ball a little bit too long. Those are things that he needs to improve on, right? The stats that he had last year were great. They were awesome for a Bears rookie quarterback. And honestly, they were solid overall, right? But it's not just about the numbers. We saw it. If you watched the games, you saw that there were areas and times where Caleb Williams did miss out on plays that probably would have been touchdowns. There were times where he overthrew on things that would have gotten you a first down or got your players and got the ball in the hands of your playmaker in the open field. Those things happened for Caleb last year. But throughout all of that, he still threw for 3,551 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QB rating of 87. That's what he did last year, right? Those are the numbers. And the thing is that even if you're looking at just what Caleb Williams left on the table at times last year with some of his overthrows, you're probably getting close to a 4,000-yard season and more like 25-ish touchdowns, right? Now, if he shored some of that up, on top of you have a better offensive play caller in here, you have a better overall offense, you have better offensive line, and the improvements that he can make in year 2, there's no doubt that Caleb Williams could be on a path to have a much better year 2 than what he had in year 1. And yes, that's what we want to see from Caleb. But to leave him off a list of the top 25 players under 25 does seem pointed, is what that seems like. It seems like somebody has an axe to grind. Now, I'm a Bears fan, and I've made no mistake about it several times. I'm somebody who legitimately I've been a Bears fan from the day that I started breathing air on this earth, right? And sometimes I do have my blinders on with my team. Just happens, right? And I can admit that. That's why I kind of stay away from certain things like this. I didn't talk about the initial top 25 under 25 list. But now when we get to the point of you got 10 more players and Caleb Williams' name is still left off that list, yeah, you're damn right I'm hoping that my quarterback uses that as some motivation to be a little bit petty next year. I hope that he uses that as motivation to gear up and realize people are sleeping on you, if you even want to call it sleeping. Now, how do you go to the drawing board? How do you prove those people wrong? And it needs to be proven wrong through winning, through being successful, right? Through those type of things. I don't want to see Caleb come out there and try to throw for 400 yards a game just to try to prove a point. That's not what I'm saying here. But I think through doing the things that are needed to win football games, that Caleb Williams has a great opportunity to prove a lot of his doubters wrong. Some of those doubters are even people who are wearing Chicago Bears colors. I see some of you fans, right? But the Bears fans have been through so much with the quarterback position and situation over the last 20 years that it's understandable that there's going to be some doubt around a player like Caleb Williams. There's going to be some doubt, period, around some things like that. So we are going to keep focused, and we're going to hope that Caleb Williams has a great season this year, because if Caleb takes that next step, if Caleb takes that leap, if he goes into that next area that we all should want to see Caleb Williams go to, it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a really fun season. It's going to be great to see Caleb Williams step up in those ways. Let's just see what happens there, right? But with that said, let's talk about one of the questions facing Ben Johnson this year, right? Ben Johnson has one of the toughest jobs in the NFL, and not because of just the on the field things. He has one of the toughest jobs in the NFL because, A, as a first-time head coach for an organization that rightfully so has so much doubt around it as an organization because of the way that we've operated, or lack thereof, however you want to look at that and word that, right? There's things that's there that Ben Johnson has. And he's now tasked with, if this offense turns around, people are going to continue to herald him as an offensive genius. But just as much doubt is around Caleb Williams, make no mistake about it. As much as Ben Johnson has gotten the moniker of being a genius, being one of the best up-and-coming coaches, the great head coach candidate, if he comes into this situation and the offense doesn't look good, it doesn't take a turn, yeah, Caleb's going to get a fair share of the blame as well. But best believe everybody is going to also be looking at Ben Johnson and what he has or what he has not done there, right? And that's a thing that just comes with the territory again. That's what comes with being a head coach. Just like we talked about what is just or unjust that comes with being a quarterback in the NFL level, what comes with being a head coach, especially a first-time head coach that was given so much attention because of what you were able to do with Detroit. Now the eyes are on you and seeing, can you turn the Chicago Bears around? But one of the biggest questions, and Pro Football Focus had another article in which they talk about the biggest question for each team heading into the 2025 season. And the question that they had is, what's the plan at running back, right? What's the plan at running back? And, they talk about DeAndre Swift and how his season was underwhelming. Fair. And they're talked about the anticipation of the Bears cutting ties with Swift and getting a different running back in the draft and things like that. They didn't do it. They did not get guys. They got guys like Kyle Monangai out here, who's a 7th round pick, who's good. They even talked about not getting J.K. Dobbins. The running back situation, I've come to terms with it. I think when last week in which we heard that Ben Johnson is really high on a guy like Roschon, great, right? That's not surprising. It shouldn't be surprising. I'm not mad at it. So hearing that, great, fine, dandy. Oh, great. Hearing now, like Ben Johnson, the eyes that are going to be on him this year, the scrutiny as a Chicago, he's going to get to see very early on what's it like to now coach for the Chicago Bears, because there is a different level of scrutiny that's there. It just is. Whether just or unjust, however you look at it, there is a different level of scrutiny there. And everybody is waiting for it to fail. Now, they'll blame the organization too, make no mistake about it. And I don't think, here's the thing. If Ben Johnson fails here, which I don't think he will, if he does, he's going to get another job, because there is going to be that little bit of buffer of, well, it was the Chicago Bears, right? There's going to be a little bit of that. But I think that one of the biggest questions here is not only the chemistry on offense, but throughout all the turmoil that the offense faced last year, how much better do we look? And with the running back, questions around running back, I tell you what, if we have a solid running attack this year to where it's in the top half of the league, I'm not even saying it needs to be top of the league, just in the top half of the league. If it can be that, with all the questions, all the doubt, all the ways that DeAndre Swift has talked about the injury concerns around Roschon, people are going to have to learn to shut the fuck up, right, when it comes down to it. So we'll see. But Dennis Allen has his own fair share of doubt around him on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line. The defensive line is a huge question that people have when it comes down to it. There was, a talk around Chicago Bears media, right? And they was asked, do the Bears have enough at the pass rush? They said, short answer, no, not on the outside. But Dennis Allen seemed to really want the Indy kid, Dayo Odeyingbo, and they have a logjam now of good players in the middle. We didn't identify him as a potential game changer on the edge, but if DA turns him into an 8 or 9 sack guy, I don't think their edge rush will be a liability. And there is something to say about that, right? Like we've talked so much over the last couple of days because of Gervon Dexter and however people view him, right? But Dayo Odeyingbo is well on that. And as much as we talk about the rush on the offensive side, the pass rush is what everybody's going to be looking for this team. And Dayo Odeyingbo is going to be because Dennis Allen did bet on him. Dennis Allen wanted Dayo Odeyingbo here. Now that you have him here, you added Grady Jarrett as well. You're adding that Gervon Dexter, Montez Sweat, Andrew Billings getting back healthy. You have all these things now. If this ends up working out and the Bears have a solid pass rushing attack, especially with the way that Dennis Allen is going to get creative out there on the outside, much like if Ben Johnson can cook with this offense, you cook with this defense, Dennis Allen's going to keep being called the defensive genius that he is, and then rightfully so. I want to see how this is going to look, right? There's doubts around Montez Sweat now from Bears fans, from people outside, because of the season that Montez Sweat had last season. There's doubts about that. And Gervon Dexter, is he going to be better in the run game this year? Is he going to be able to keep up his production for the entire season, or are we going to see a steep drop-off again after the first few weeks of the season? All those questions are there, right? And that's going to be the sticking point here for Dennis Allen. If he can turn this team into an above-average pass rush this year, people are going to have to start looking at this team and being like, oh, well, hell, they didn't have to trade for Trey Hendrickson, right? And I think they're going to have to do it by committee. They're going to have to do it through the waves and waves and waves that they can throw at you between Daniel Hardy, Austin Booker, Montez Sweat, right? And the creative ways that we're going to use Kyler Gordon in the pass rush, right? All those type of things are going to be really important there for this Bears team. And we'll see how it's going to all shake out, man. But I'm really excited about this season. I'm excited to get closer and closer to actual football. Talking about all these storylines and things are great. I'm ready to start breaking down some tape. I'm ready to start breaking down some football. I'm ready to start seeing guys hit people. I'm ready to start seeing that type of thing. I want to get back to that. That's what I want to get back to, because I think that's going to be the fun thing in all of this, man. Let's get back to playing some football. Hopefully that shuts up some of the people that are writing these sensationalized articles and things like that. Like everybody, when football's on, everybody just talks about football. Things seem so much better. They flow more seamlessly together. I just want to be able to talk about football. Is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing to just want to talk about football? Because I'm tired of talking about storylines. I'm tired of talking about everything else. I want some football. And let's see what shakes out in that one, man. But thank you guys for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.